guys, it's Jess from Brewdy Coffee Co. Today I just wanted to go through our beloved coffee van. So this was our very first project in the coffee industry after we got our product line sorted. So we jumped into the coffee van business and we've grown and evolved over, say, the last 12 months from there. So when we started this thing up, there wasn't a lot of how to do coffee machines, how to set them up, the coffee vans, how to set up coffee vans, and the different ways that you could do it. There are so many ways that you can do it, and we did find that there was a lot of places where you could get them sent to. We did find that there was a lot of places where you could send your car and it would get customized that way, but we didn't want to go down that route. We found that it was very kind of copy and paste, so we wanted this set up to be particularly how we wanted it, the way that we were going to flow with everything, and to be easy and versatile when we are doing events and our business runs and whatnot. So let me take you through what we've done with our coffee van, and hopefully this will help somebody who wants to set up their own little coffee van down the track. We got a chippy. We didn't need a plumber. We got the roastery to help us with the coffee machine, but for the fundamentals and the kind of structure of it in the middle, we got a carpenter to help us with that. So the carpenter came in and he put the false wall in the back. That was exactly what we wanted. So we wanted the business in the back, party in the front kind of thing. So we got all of the mechanics of how everything runs behind that wall so that this looked nice and presentable for when you're serving. We were very picky on when we got the van, so this is a Hyundai iLoad. We were very picky to choose this one so that it opened at the back and rather than the barn door. We were thinking we're going to get in the way, they don't open out, so you're kind of stuck that way. You would have felt a little bit restricted, plus not having a roof above your head if it's raining, or even for the sun we got that extra tinted so that, you know, it's kind of giving you a bit of a protection against all the elements. That is definitely a key thing that we were thinking about when we set this up. So after the chippy came in, he did the false wall, bench tops, and our little components at the back. And around the back he also put in some shelving and whatnot, weatherboard floors on the base of the van, and then we were able to come in with the machinery and kind of customize it a little bit more from there, but at least we knew that it was a solid foundation. From there we knew that we wanted a stainless steel bench top because obviously that's very hygienic, easy to clean, very user friendly, and if worst case there was, you know, water or leakages or milk spillages, you know, you name it, was going to occur, at least this is very easily cleaned. So we've got the little high sides here so that, you know, it would all be caught and it's not going to kind of cause too much of a mess further than this kind of general area. Once we did all that, we went to the 4x4 Super Centre and one of those, and we went and we got all of our drawers, we got our fridges, batteries, that sort of thing. So we've gone down the heavy duty camping kind of gear, I guess you could say, to set this up, which we will have more detail in coming videos. So we went in, we've got our drawers for our storage, we've got our drawer fridge in here, a little pocket for our till, and everything else kind of has its little house. So that was the fundamentals of the back. We were super stoked to be able to actually have this all come to life after all of the planning that we put into it, and it all did come together, so that's always a bonus. Okay, here we go. So this is the walkthrough of the coffee van in the back where we've put all the mechanics. As we picked this van up, it was hollow, so just keep in mind that this was just your average Hyundai i-Load. It had nothing in the back and everything was set up from scratch, so we had to think of how things were going to move around in the van, how it was going to be easy to use and get to, so super user friendly, how it was going to all work and flow if we wanted to add things in, take them out, everything like that, but still be super accessible and super simple. We were very mindful of using the right materials so they weren't going to perish really soon, so we used all weatherboard, marine ply, all of the things that we thought, okay, if it gets wet it's going to be okay, if it gets dirty it's going to be okay, and wear and tear is also going to be okay because we wanted it to last. So this is the back of the coffee van. As you can see, you know, it's not exactly aesthetically pleasing, but what we did was we've put the water and the waste for the coffee machine in here. That is so that we can get access through the back. So that feeds through and then up to the coffee machine. It's powered over there by the batteries, and it all kind of comes through without it being too far away. So we wanted it to kind of all be in the same space where it was all easy to get to. We didn't have to run extra leads that would have been further for it to, you know, have to be accessible to the power and accessible to the water, and then also interchangeable so that we can have the backup here. If this water runs out, then we can just swap them over super easily. So that was one thing that we want to be mindful of, and make sure that it all works. So okay, so backup water over here, water that is connected to the coffee machine in here. So this one has the water pipe running straight into it, which goes through the pump and the filter and into the machine. And then we've got the waste over here, so that comes straight out of the coffee machine and into there. Once that gets to about halfway, we like to fill it so that it's not kind of overflowing and splashing out the back. Backup water over here, absolute godsend when you have events and whatnot, so you can easily and quickly swap them over and you're good to go. So we always have 40 litres of water on board at all times, no less than that. Sometimes for events, if we're going out further and not sure about the water supply, we'll add in another drum, so we've got 60 litres on board at all times, especially for large events. I would definitely recommend being oversupplied with water than undersupplied, because that is never good. Getting caught off guard with water and coffee machines is not a good mix. Over here we went and got a camping / caravan sink. So this is just a little pump system. You squeeze this one to pump it, water comes out here. Underneath we've got the water and the waste. So this has been really great. This is not sponsored, but this is Boxio. It's been super easy. We've just screwed it to the top of the timber there and it does not go anywhere. So that was another thing that we needed to make sure, was that we had everything on board, that if you were to brake immediately, nothing's going to go flying through the back here. So everything is fastened down, everything doesn't move during flight, during transit, and it all has its space. So the other thing is storage. Storage is always really handy. So we've got 2 shelves here. I've got the backup milks, coffee beans, bin liners, serviettes, sugars, straws, whatnot. Everything that you might need is going to be here. We've put the little fronts on here so that it's not going to, again, fly off when we are driving. So that has been awesome. The little baskets are super handy. I have just taken them out so they're not there to see you. Also, leaving enough access in here to be able to get into the mechanics underneath the van was another thing that we had to think of when setting this up. So under this board, so that is for the spare tire, but under this board is just the original shell of the van. We've put this on top so that we know that we can screw straight into it, that we can add bits and pieces and not be doing any harm or putting any leaks in the van. Don't do that, wouldn't recommend it. Also, I have been told. So pretty much that's this side of the van. Knockbox, we've just kind of put an ocky strap around there. We used to have a little hook from there to there, but I needed to use that hook for something else, so we've moved it. Knock boxes there, also tied down for transit. Don't let that one knock over, it is an absolute mess. Then we've got our signs and whatnot that just tuck behind the seats. First aid and fire extinguisher signs there. Also very important, fire extinguisher must be on board. Don't forget to make one that is also compatible with the gas, because you do have gas on board. Well, we do have gas on board. So the next thing, let's come around here, is the other side. So we've got backup fridge freezer in the back. We've used King's products just because we wanted to. We've got one that's got backup milks, the other one's got ice, and they work perfectly. So we've got the drawer fridge in the back, and this one just kind of like feeds the top up system in the back. The Tetra Pak milks on the shelf, we kind of then just bring them in slowly as we need, but at least we've got plenty of fresh milks cold. Other thing is the gas. So this was a new one for me. It was definitely a big learning curve. So this is actually a sealed toolbox. This worked great for us when we needed to put the gas in. So the gas has to stay in a sealed area and has to have a vent through the floor. This had to be plumbed up by a professional gas installer and get a gas safety certificate for this one as well, which you can see is always displayed on the side there. So this had to be allocated its own spot, and we did place everything else around it because this had to be, one, obviously very accessible, and two, it had to be near a door with the ventilation and whatnot. So that one was sorted first, installed and certified, and everything else kind of came after. Extra storage for cups, tea towels, lids, etc. in the side. And then we get to the good old battery system. So the battery system that we have used are two 200 amp lithium batteries. So they are all hooked up by an auto electrician, King's inverter, and all the bits and pieces. So this little concoction here, I would love to tell you what it's called, but it's definitely not my area of expertise. The way we got it set up was allowing us to be able to switch on and off the cabin lights, also switch the fan on, because we've got that hooked up at the side just in here. So the fan also pulls the air out of here outside, especially for those super hot days when it does get quite stuffy in here. When we pull up for events and whatnot, we try and keep the doors open. That's really helpful to be able to, you know, keep it cool and not have it super stuffy in here. So that King system has been great for us. We also learnt the hard way that you need to make sure that if your coffee machine is half gas, it is always flipped to gas and not electricity. We'll explain more about that in the coming video, but it just drains your batteries too much. So that was one thing that we found, is that we wouldn't recommend using a coffee machine that's not half gas unless you've got a serious system hooked up, which I'm not going to explain that side of things because we didn't use it that way, but we have found that the Frappuccino dual coffee machine, where you can have it on electricity or you can have it on gas, has definitely been awesome for this kind of setup. So if you wanted to do it that way, at least we know that it is user friendly.
But after all I've said, please don't forget, we don't deal with outsiders very well. They say newcomers have a certain smell. Yeah, trust issues, not the